Alicia is the latest studio album from singer, songwriter, pianist Alicia Keys, coming, I think, 4 years after her last release back in 2016, which was Here. Here was somewhat of a reimagining of her sound. She was choosing to tackle more weighty and timely issues with a more stripped back and loose approach to the instrumentation. It was much more politically driven, I found, and a bit more rawer than the previous album, which was Girl on Fire, which was an album I was never really that keen on. It was a bit too traditionalist and kind of had that overblown pop production behind it that was saturating a lot of radio in the early 2010s. I think this new project does continue the trend of the last album here, choosing to tackle some weightier issues, albeit with a bit more of a traditionalist approach to some of the songs. The album opens with the song Truth Without Love, which has got this kind of grand, spacey, choral instrumentation with Alicia Keys singing in a traditional R&B cadence over it with a kind of hip-hop twang to the verses. It's actually quite a subtle opener to this album. There's a lot of skill, swagger, and restraint as well. I think it does a perfect job of setting the mood for the rest of the album. I do love the lyrical content of this song specifically. I like the allusion to the idea of this kind of meaningless search for objective truth taking precedence over love and human connection. The lead single, Time Machine, which dropped, I think, almost a year ago now, again, it's similar to the opening track in the sense that it's backed by this loose, spacey, very textured instrumentation. On this song, she's kind of, again, continuing that quest for an idea of freedom specifically, which can have multiple meanings. The song, like the lyrics, are constantly evolving and chugging along, and with each passage of the song there's more and more elements added to it. It's quite beautiful, but it is kind of also slightly eerie and haunting. There's something about this song that really reminds me of what Childish Gambino was doing on his last album that dropped earlier this year. The next song, Authors of Forever, while it's not one of my favorites on here, it is one of the more traditionally structured R&B/pop songs on here, but I do think it has one of the best vocal performances on the entire album. The song Wasted Energy has this very, very strong front and center reggae-inspired instrumental, and it provides the backdrop for Alicia Keys to explore this failed relationship and this trust between these two partners, which is just disintegrated over the course of the relationship. This kind of sound is something that I personally have not heard from her before, but I think it suits her pretty much perfectly. Everything is very controlled and subtle and restrained. I think this is a song that you'd point to that even if you'd never heard an Alicia Keys song before, you can immediately identify that this is someone who is very assured and confident in their abilities. The song Underdog is an up-tempo, uplifting anthem singing the praises of those who are fighting for their dreams. Again, I do appreciate the sentiment of the song, but the hook on here just doesn't really do anything for me personally. For me, the verses are far more interesting than the hook. On the first listen, I felt this kind of strange feeling that it sounded a bit like an Ed Sheeran song, and lo and behold, he is listed as a songwriter here. Song 3 Hour Drive, which is a duet with English singer Sampha. It's very, very moody, down-tempered, textured beat. It's the kind of beat that you'd imagine Drake singing over in 2012. I do really like how quiet and subdued and murky and watery this entire instrumentation is. And I love the quiet, spacey chords in the background that drive the entire emotion of the song. The song Me X, or Times 7, with the very, very talented Tierra Whack. I think the delivery on the hook and the verses are very interesting, but I think this is a song where that minimal stripped back element is taken to a bit of an extreme. Also, what I found disappointing is that whilst Tierra Whack's contribution is, as usual, very strong, it is very brief. The song Show Me Love, which again dropped, I think, almost a year ago, featuring Miguel, is just pure, unadulterated, unfiltered early 2000s R&B, and I'm all here for it. It's, as you'd expect, steamy, overly dramatic, very, very emotive, but I think that both of their voices work very, very well together. Unfortunately, the next duet on the album is So Done with Khalid. Personally, I've never been too big on Khalid as a singer, and I don't think this song has done anything really to change my mind about that. I don't really think he adds anything extra to the song. In fact, I kind of think he's stepping on Alicia Keys' toes at points. There's nothing overtly wrong or offensive about this song. It's just extremely bland. Gramercy Park, which I'm assuming sounds like some bougie suburb of New York, is the kind of song you would point to as being classic Alicia Keys. Strong vocals, very, very descriptive and vivid songwriting, and an instrumental driven by front and center piano work. I find the lyrics on this very, very interesting. I like the idea of exploring that kind of pressure of having to live up to some idealized expectation in a relationship, and the repercussions of that. Love Looks Better is probably my least favorite song on this entire album. There's not really much to say about this song, good or bad. It's the most middle of the road, bland, maybe commercially viable song on the entire album. Thankfully, the tracklist picks up immediately with what I think is the best song on the entire album, which is You Save Me with Snow Allegra. For me, both singers deliver the best vocal performances on the entire album. Everything about this song is emotive, dynamic, and pretty much flawless. Of course, that distinct Alicia Keys piano work takes you straight back to albums like Songs in A Minor. They get so much out of this song from so little. It's vocals, which are sometimes layered on top of each other, one subtle synthesizer that I think I can hear, and a piano, and that's pretty much it. Snow Allegra's contribution is amazing. I really can't speak highly enough of it, and I think this song is one of my favorite duet performances of 2020 so far. Everything about this song is a perfect advert for the talent and the skill at Alicia Keys' disposal, and I think I would go as far to say that this is perhaps one of her best ever songs. The next song is Jill Scott, with Jill Scott, fittingly. It's a very summery, breezy, uplifting beat, with Alicia Keys scatting at one point as well. Once again, like a lot of this album, it's very, very quiet and kind of unassuming at first before they begin to bring in more and more elements as the song goes on. Unfortunately, we don't actually get Jill Scott singing on this song, which I thought was a bit of a disappointment. She comes through just to do a small spoken word interlude in the middle of the song. The next song is Perfect Time to Die, which is a very timely, emotional, and conceptual track written from the perspective of a mother who seems to be grieving at the loss of her child at the hands of law enforcement. It's understandably dramatic and very emotional, but it never leans into the realm of melodrama, and I think that's what makes this song captivating and engaging. I think it can be very easy when you're speaking on these issues to try and elicit an emotional response from your audience just for the sake of it. But what she does on this song is that she grounds these massive and very important issues in something very relatable and very human and very down to earth. The final song, which is Good Job, which came out earlier this year, is a song that's pretty much been accidentally recontextualized. The song is an uplifting celebration of your everyday hardworking person, but of course with the ongoing global pandemic, that has taken on a new meaning in the past couple of months. Instrumentally, it's quite similar to the previous song, except it's a bit more uplifting and joyous and rousing. As much as I do like some elements of this song, it can come off kind of cheesy at times. Ultimately, this album is, as expected, very assured, very skilled, very clean, and very well put together, which is what you would expect from an Alicia Keys album at this point. The only thing is that it's just a bit too safe and traditionalist to elevate it to anything more than that, in my opinion. Those are my thoughts on the album. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Make sure to like, subscribe, and dong the bell. And I will see you next time.